Hi everyone, I'm Chef Susie with Escoffier Online. Welcome to our live session this morning. Today I'm going to be making a Johnnycake Cobbler, which is just a little bit of a different twist on the classic cobbler. It's a great summertime favorite because you're using some fresh fruits, and what's really nice is these don't have to be refrigerated. You can bake them, take them out of the oven, can serve them after they cool for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So they're great this time of year. They're great all year, but especially this time of year because we've got some really nice fruits out there to use. And the cobbler is like anything else, limitless of flavors that you can do with these and combinations and your different twists on them. So let me know what kind of cobblers you're making. Today I'm going to be doing the Johnnycake Cobbler, and the Johnnycake is it's a cornmeal cake, and it's typically fried, and it's an American favorite. It's typically fried on a griddle, kind of like a pancake. But in this case, I'm going to be putting that batter on top of my cobbler. And what I'm going to be using for my fruit are just some peaches and some plums that I have. And they were nice this week in the grocery store, so this is why I chose this flavor combination. And the plums add some nice tartness. So I've only have a few plums in here, and it's mostly peaches. We're going to be sauteing these. But back to the flavors, you can do any flavor combination, any of the stone fruits, the nectarines, plums, peaches, white peaches, apples work great, as well as pears. You're going to want to stay away from the fruits that have a lot of liquid in them, like strawberries or even oranges, unless you want to just accent your cobbler with those. And I'm going to be accenting my cobbler today with a few raspberries, which is a nice flavor combination for these. So, knowing all that, let's get started. First, we're going to be sauteing our plums and our peaches with a little bit of sugar. And then when this is finished, I'm going to be adding a little bit of vanilla as well. So I'm just going to kind of start out by melting my butter and my sugar in my pan. Then I'm going to add my my peaches and my plums. And please let me know if you have any questions, or perhaps maybe your thoughts on some cobblers that you've done or that you might want to do. Okay, so once this gets nice and warm, our butter gets melted, I'm going to go ahead and add our fruit. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and add these peaches and the plums. Okay. So we're just going to be sauteing these until they get a little bit softer. So we're actually, we're starting the cooking process. We're bringing out the flavor. It's only going to make for a better cobbler. These are going to cook when they're in the oven, and keep that in mind. So I just cook these until they start to turn a little bit soft. You can see the color come out in them a little bit, and you can see that they're losing their stiffness. So just kind of, it takes a few minutes. I'm going to add some vanilla after this. You can add a variety of different extracts. I like to use vanilla in this dessert, and just tastes pretty good with the fruit. Okay, so as far as the peaches and the plums, you can take the skins off or you can leave them on. Today I decided to leave the skins on. Sometimes I make this with the skins off. They're going to soften in the cooking process, and so they're completely edible. It's not going to be anything that someone doesn't want to eat. So I kind of like the prettiness of the purple plum skin, and that's why I chose to leave the skins on today. So you can take the skins off you like. It's really personal preference, and it's all about, like we've talked about in the past, your cooking style, your baking style. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. We're going to leave this go just a little bit longer, and please let me know if you have any questions. So when we're finished, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of cornstarch and sugar over this mixture before I turn it into the baking pan. And that's going to help thicken some of these juices a little bit. And as this cooking goes on, you're going to see that we're going to have a nice little puddle of juice in the bottom here. So if you like your cobblers a little bit more runny, then you can just eliminate the cornstarch. And I'm just going to put a little bit in. I don't want it to get too thick or coagulated when it bakes in the oven. I just kind of want to thicken it up a little bit, and mostly it's easier to serve if it's just a little thick. Okay, so this is coming along nicely, and please let me know if you have any questions. So once we get this cooked a little bit, flavored, we're going to put it in the pan, and then we're going to be making our Johnny cake topping, which is just some cornmeal, some flour, baking powder, baking soda, a little bit of sugar. I'm going to be rubbing in some butter, and then I'm going to add some cream. You can add milk, you can add buttermilk, whatever you like. I like to use cream. I like the richness, and a lot of people like to use milk. That's okay. Okay, so we're just going to give these a little bit more. I can see they're starting to get a little bit soft, starting to tender up a little bit, and this is just bringing out the flavor, and it's just going to help them cook when they're in the oven. So I'm going to be making a whole Johnny cake today. You can make these individually. You can make them in small, like 1-cup ramekins. Those are great too. And with your cobblers, don't worry if you get some dripping on the outside. You can wipe it off, or you can even leave it on. It gives it, perhaps if you have a white ramekin, you have a little bit of juice dripping down the side, it kind of gives it a home style type of look, like a comfort food type of look. So whatever you want to do, I'd say if you're serving that in a restaurant, you're probably going to want to wipe it off. But maybe at home, if you're looking for that comfort look, you can just go ahead and leave some of those drips on. And we have a question. The question is can you cover these, just wet them, the peaches and the plums? You absolutely can. However you want to do this, it's perfectly fine. Covering these is going to make them go a lot faster as well. Okay, so I'm really at the stage where I want these. They've started to soften. A lot of the juice has come out, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this off the burner. And we're going to add a little bit of vanilla. When I add my vanilla to this, I don't measure. I put in about a teaspoon. But I do have a tendency to go overboard because I think it goes really nice with these fruits. So just going to go ahead and mix our vanilla in. These are looking perfectly. And I have a little bit of sugar and cornstarch. And I'm just going to be sprinkling this over, and this is just going to help these juices thicken once this is in the oven. I'm just putting a little bit, and you can go without that if you like. So I have a 9-inch square oven-proof Pyrex dish. I'm just going to be pouring this in. And then we're going to go ahead and make our Johnny cake topping. Okay. Super easy to make, a real nice summertime favorite. Just a few simple steps, and you're going to be putting it in the oven, and you're going to be forgetting about it. Okay, so you can add some berries to this too. I like to add raspberries. Blueberries are nice too. I kind of just sprinkle a few on here. It's just going to add a little bit more flavor and some color to the inside. Okay, so that's our fruit mixture for the base of our Johnny cake. Let's go ahead and make the cornbread topping. Okay, so I've got some cornmeal, some all-purpose flour, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt, some baking powder, and some baking soda. And I'm just going to be mixing these together. And I wanted to mention I'm using yellow cornmeal. I like the color of the yellow cornmeal. Typically that's what I use. But cornmeal, if you don't know, it's not only available in yellow, it's available in white. So the white cornmeal is nice too if you don't want the yellow coloring. So I'd say, try both and see which one you like. But keep in mind that white cornmeal is available to you in all grocery stores, same place you'll find the yellow cornmeal. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and mix up these dry ingredients. Then we are going to rub in our butter, and then we're going to add our cream, and then we're almost done. And please let me know if you have any further questions. So you can do this on the mixer. It's a small amount, so I like to do it by hand. Of course, if you're doing a larger amount, you may want to do this on the mixer. Just keep an eye on it. You're just going to be rubbing your butter in until it's kind of like a coarse texture. And then we'll go ahead and mix our liquid in. So these cobblers are great. Like I said, in the summertime, they're great if you're working in a restaurant, a hotel, or even a country club. It's a nice hot item on the buffet. You can put it in a chafing dish, and then you can serve it with some maybe warm caramel sauce or something like that, or even have some ice cream on the side. And you can also just serve it, you can leave it out at room temperature once it's a little bit warm. After it's come out of the oven, it's going to be piping hot out of the oven, so be sure to leave it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes before you serve it, because there's a lot of hot sugars in there. Okay, so this is looking good. And then we're going to go ahead and add our cream. Just going to crumple this up a little bit more. So have a lot of fun with your cobblers, and they're great summertime favorites, like I said, and just limitless combinations of flavors. Okay, all right. I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands, and then we'll finish the mix. Okay, once we get this assembled, it's going to be going in the oven at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes. If you're making these cobblers individual, they're going to take less time, maybe 20 minutes. So you're just going to want to keep an eye on it. It's a cake, so you're going to use your cake baking techniques. You can feel the top to see if it's set, and then you can insert a toothpick to see if it's done. Okay, so our batter is looking great. I held back on a little bit of the cream because I didn't want to make this too thin, but I'm going to go ahead and add the rest. And you can add spices to this as well, whatever you like. I have my vanilla and my fruits. It's a nice clean flavor, so I'm just kind of sticking with the basic Johnnycake mix. So please try this and let me know how you like it, and let me know about your variations too. Okay, just about ready. If you prefer, you can make this a little bit thicker, and then you'll have some more cracking in it when it rises, and that's okay too. I kind of like to keep mine a medium thickness here, so let's go ahead and scrape this down, and we're going to cover our fruit mixture. Okay, so please let me know if you have any questions. So I'm just going to be kind of spooning this over, and then what I'll do is I'll kind of spread it out a little bit so it's even in the dish. Okay. I'm just carefully spreading this around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to brush this with some melted butter before it goes in the oven, and sprinkle a little bit of sugar. That's an optional step. If you don't want the extra butter in here or the sugar, you can skip this one. I like to do this. I think it gives it a nice flavor and a little bit of crispness to the top. So I'm just going to be brushing this with some melted butter. And a little bit of sugar, and this will be ready to go in the oven. 350 for about 45 minutes. Could take up to an hour depending on your oven. And it's going to take less time if you're doing individuals, about 20 minutes. Just keep an eye on it. Remember, you own these things when you put them in the oven. Let's take a look at the cobblers that I made earlier. Okay, so I've got my Johnnycake Cobbler that I baked earlier. It's a nice golden brown color. There is a little bit of cracking and a little bit of crust and crispiness, but that's what makes these really what they are. So you can make these cobblers not only with the Johnnycake topping like I've showed you today. You can do biscuits on top. You could do a crumble topping with even some granola and nuts in it. So it's really limitless. So have a lot of fun exploring your cobblers. Let's go ahead and just put a little powdered sugar on this, maybe some fruit, and finish it off. Be sure that you're checking the center of your Johnnycake, especially if you're making a bigger one like this. Insert your toothpick, touch it. It's going to be a little sticky, but you want it to have a little bit of firmness. And you can tell, you guys are all great bakers. You can tell when something is done. So please let me know how you're doing with your summertime cobblers. And if you have any questions, and I would love to hear about all the nice things that you're making. Okay. So I'm just putting a little powdered sugar. You can really finish these however you like. And I've got some of my peaches that I sliced earlier. So I'm just going to be putting some sliced peaches on top. And then I'm just going to sprinkle a few raspberries. And this will be ready to serve. It's a great serve, just a little bit warm. Careful not to serve it too hot. So I'm just going to sprinkle some raspberries around. And it kind of finishes it off. It's not so plain looking. And this is our Johnnycake, our peach and plum Johnnycake. So thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.